Back. This time it's the Gold Coast Suns. Bit similar to the Tigers review as they've got a new coach. Obviously, Dimma coming across to the Suns. So some of the review is going to be focusing on what Gold Coast did this year, and some of it's going to be focused on how Dimma coaches as well. Okay, so I've got how to win versus Suns / Dimma. So I've got some Tigers stats and some Gold Coast stats. So first one is to control the footy to lessen pressure. I've got Tigers in 2021 were fourth in pressure acts. I used 2021 there because they dropped off in 2022, sort of correlating with the team performance dropping off to, I think they finished 8th maybe. In 2022 they had opposition turnovers of 3rd in the competition and spoils 3rd in the competition. So controlling the footy can help lessen the pressure applied to you and can help you work it down the field. Second point is to set up behind the ball. We can see Tigers in 2022 meters gained per disposal. Second, they like to kick it. They got a lot of inside 50s from that. So if you set up well there, you can get some intercept marks. And then one thing that they're pretty damaging with is their average goal scorers per game was top in the league, which means that there's a lot of different dangerous threats when the ball's coming in, not at a specific target, but a bit of a chaos ball. They like to play a bit of, chaos footy, and it creates a lot of opportunities for a lot of different players. And lastly, we've got fight for clearances. An interesting one here is that Tigers teams in 2022 and 2021 weren't amazing clearance teams, but this year in 2023, Gold Coast were very good at that. So be interesting to see what Dimma does with a team like that. Maybe, might have put them a bit too low in my rankings due to this stat alone, pretty much. But in their clearance differential in 2023, Gold Coast were 3rd. They were number 1 in contested possessions percentage and number 3 in hit-out win percentage. Obviously, Jared Witt's a very talented ruckman. And that's how you win versus Suns / Dimma. Looking at the round 23 game versus Carlton, they're at their best intercepting the football and using their foot skills. They don't really move it with handballs. They are 2nd in the AFL with kick percentage. They kick the ball 65% of the time. So you really got to shut down their kicks into open space. Here we can see that they really dominated the first quarter, got dominated the second quarter, and then it was pretty even after that. But we've got contested possessions really high in the first quarter. It sort of steadily dropped off over the game. The thing is, they were probably dominating the contested possession in the first quarter, but then Carlton sort of came back and made the game very contested, leading to a high amount of contested possessions. But the interesting one there is goals per inside 50 percentage. In the first quarter, it was 32%, which is 10% higher than the season average. And for the rest of the game, they averaged 15% goals per inside 50. So they were so efficient in the first quarter, and they just couldn't replicate in the second quarters, leading Carlton to be able to rebound the footy and create scoring chances of their own. Here's some of the intercept leading to quick ball movement and using their foot skills to create chances. So they force a long kick. Mac Andrew was sitting off a bit, being able to take plenty of intercept marks during the game, and see 1 handball, 2 handballs, and then they use the footy with their foot. And they can really open it up. Just by getting a mark at that forward 50, they can spread numbers out to the back of the pack and create scoring opportunities. Okay, we've got a D50 stoppage here. Some things to note: Gold Coast playing man on man. And then we've got a spare here at the back of the stoppage. So they've got a +1 because we've got a Carlton defender back here playing that nude defender that we've talked about to stop the fast breaks. Gold Coast love to kick the ball, so they can move the footy quite quickly. So that's probably why they've got them there. In terms of their forward setup, they've got 3 players at the front here, and then their 2 marking targets here, so that these people at the front can go in and crumb depending on where the footy goes. Bit of a dead stoppage, I think. Just sort of a tap down and then repeat stoppage there. And we'll move on to the next one. Okay, we got a back flank stoppage here. We'll just roll it through so Chol can get into position for ruck. Thing to note is we've got Mac Andrew back here playing an intercept marker. We know Gold Coast like to have someone to get those intercepts. And then we've got this Carlton player who's splitting the difference between these Gold Coast players so that he can influence the contest. In terms of their setup, we've got a player here behind the ball, a few midfielders at the front of the stoppage. They've got quite a few numbers around here, and then this person will either stalk forward to tackle the quarterback if they come up. Doesn't really get to any of that. Chol takes it out of the ruck here and is run down, should be holding the ball really, but Carlton are able to use the numbers at the footy to kick it inside forward 50, but Collins gets a free kick there. Okay, so we've got a forward 50 stoppage here. Not really too much to note. In terms of their setup, they've got a lot of people on the boundary side to try and keep that backside open. But in terms of their setup down the field, just sort of playing man on man, the midfielders kind of seem a little bit close, or not, maybe not the midfielders, but the people forming the wall. I think it's Lukosius up here. They're a bit close. He gets sucked in a bit. So when this kick comes out, he's not there to protect it, and Carlton are able to transition. So they need to be better on the setups there. Okay, so this one's their kick in defence during the first quarter. In the next slide, we'll be looking at the last quarter and sort of looking at the differences. But already in the first quarter, we can see that this is a very aggressive defence. Very high up the ground, no one in the back half, and then plenty of numbers to block the short kicks. And then if we roll through it, you can really see there that they're not allowing the short ones, forcing Saad to kick long to where they've set up the intercept defender. Carlton probably should have put up more of a fight there, but they're able to grab that and put it back inside 50. Okay, so here's the fourth quarter kick in defence. Very similar setup in terms of the zone because it's very aggressive anyway. So 4 points down, they're trying to cause a turnover. Just show you the difference when the Blues kick short this time instead of going long like Saad did. And look at all the Gold Coast players push across the ground to get numbers here for when they force them to kick it long. And as you can see, there's plenty there. They're able to use their hands and put it in. But another thing that's up Carlton's sleeve is the players behind the ball, and Charlie Curnow is probably a very handy player to do that. So they end up winning the game, Carlton. Because Dimma is a new coach for the Suns, I thought I'd try something different instead of analysing the end of the game and just sort of point out a few things that all teams should really be doing. So if we roll through this, 2 goals down, Gold Coast, not long to go, so they need to really push the footy. So they kick it long down the line. The first thing here is Casbolt breaking this tackle here. Obviously, he's a tough bloke to tackle, and it's pretty hard. But Saad manages to wrap him up here a little bit, but he keeps the ball moving. That's the goal of the team behind, is to keep the ball moving. Do not lock it up. Don't give a chance for Carlton to crowd around the footy. So it goes out the back here. Wiedering should be picking this up cleanly and bombing it, but there's a lot of pressure on, so he fumbles. And then we've got here, I'll stop it again, Anderson down at the footy. First things first, he does not want to pick this up because Wiedering is right on his tail, because then we'll get another stoppage. But another thing is you can't leave someone out the back here. We've got 3 Carlton players all ball watching, not really paying attention. I think Chincotta's still a bit winded from the Casbolt one, so maybe he's not really thinking too well. But you can't allow this to happen. So Anderson, being a smart footballer, sees him out the back, taps it on, and then they're able to roll in and kick a goal. Just a few important things there. Keeping the ball moving if you're down, the importance of breaking tackles and sticking tackles, and always keeping your head switched on at the end of the game, not letting someone out the back. Okay, we've got a centre bounce here. Late in the game, couldn't find any that had the view of down the ground. Might be just the cameras at Metricon, but so I've had to do this one from side on. So first things first, Carlton have their wingers in a very defensive position because they're trying to protect this lead. And then you can see Gold Coast, 2 numbers at the back. They're probably going to push through and run through here. We'll just play this through a bit, have a look at the setup. Almost get a clearance there. Paddy Dow, very good here in close. When it cuts out to here, though, Kerno probably should be a bit smarter here. He's seen the Dow has just given it to him, so he's probably a bit worried about him. But he knows that Carlton are set up behind the ball. So you can see this bloke here wide open. If he's able to flick that handball over here, Doherty's able to run out here, and they've got probably an inside 50 entry, but he blasted away. If we continue, leads to this Gold Coast player who was already reading the play pretty well, able to take an intercept mark.